Here to discuss the situation is Haleh-Esfandiar, author of My Prison, My Home, a memoir about her own time spent in Tehran's Evin prison. Welcome to the program, Haleh.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Why don't you start off by describing the current situation in Iran for us?
I believe the government really got frightened from seeing these huge demonstrations. On one occasion, there were 3 million people on the streets, and therefore the Basijis and the Revolutionary Guards started shooting, killing people, arresting them, taking them to prison, and they decided that it's not enough to take your ordinary demonstrators to prison. It makes more sense to take the leadership of the reformist movement.
Why have the people who have been arrested, why have they not been allowed to have any kind of legal representation?
Political prisoners usually don't have access to legal representations, nor can they meet with their families.
But they've been charged with crimes of vandalism and violence. I mean, how is that?
Nevertheless, they are seen as political prisoners. And the families usually go, like in my own case, they appoint a lawyer, but the lawyers don't get to see the files of the detainees.
Give us some insight into your own situation. You were held at Iran's notorious Evin prison in 2007. You were actually on a trip to go and see your mother. I mean, how did you end up behind bars? What happened?
I'd gone to visit my 93-year-old mother. In the meantime, she has passed away. But, and so I stayed a week there, and I was leaving for the airport. On the road to the airport, a car stopped my car, and 4 men who were wearing knives on their, around their waist, jumped out of the car, came, told the driver to open the trunk, picked up my suitcase, took my bag, and in my purse, of course, I had my passport, and thus by quote-unquote stealing my belongings, I was without any papers. I became a paperless person, and in the process of applying for another passport, I suddenly noticed that this was not your regular and your ordinary robbery. I was dealing with the agent of the intelligence ministry who had been following me probably for some time.
Were you ever tempted to just give in to the pressures of your interrogators and to tell them what they were looking to hear?
No, I really was not. Of course, once I was put in prison and in solitary confinement, you have a sense of despair, because you don't know at all what's going on outside the prison. I didn't know that my family, my husband, my daughter, the Wilson Center, Lee Hamilton, the head of the Wilson Center, they were all involved in trying to get me out. I was not aware of that campaign. So when you are in solitary confinement, when you are there on your own, I mean, your interlocutors are either the women guards or your interrogators, so you sort of tend to get into a state of despair, and the interrogations were harsh. I was under a lot of pressure, but I didn't have anything to hide from them. I mean, I was very open with them. And then, therefore, when they published my, statements and so on, they were forced to cut and paste and just splice it, really.